I want you to imagine this for a moment. A quiet evening. Red and blue lights flashing against dark windows. A single father pushed against a cold police car while his little daughter cries from the sidewalk. Everyone watching assumes the worst. But then, a female cop notices a faded tattoo on his arm. And in that instant, everything she believed about him shatters, because sometimes, one small detail can turn judgment into compassion, and change lives forever. Before we begin, take a second to support the channel. If stories about humanity, kindness, and second chances touch your heart, please subscribe to Kindness World, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps us spread stories that remind the world to be a little kinder. Now let me tell you this story. The night had been long and exhausting for Daniel Brooks. He worked double shifts as a warehouse loader in a small Ohio town, doing everything he could to keep food on the table for his 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Her mother had passed away 3 years earlier, and since then, Daniel had learned how to braid hair, pack lunches, and be both mom and dad at the same time. That evening, Daniel had rushed into a small convenience store after work. Lily was with him, half asleep, holding her stuffed bear. He realized at the counter that his wallet was missing. Panic hit him hard. The cashier, already irritated, accused him of trying to steal a few basic groceries, milk, bread, and cereal. Daniel tried to explain. His voice shook. He asked to leave the items and go check his car. But the cashier had already called the police. When Officer Rachel Morgan arrived, she saw what she thought she'd seen 100 times before. A tired man. A raised voice. A store clerk insisting on shoplifting. Procedure kicked in before emotion. She separated Daniel from Lily and asked him to put his hands behind his back. Lily started crying. Please, Daniel said quietly. My daughter, she's scared. I didn't steal anything. Rachel hesitated for half a second. But rules were rules. She handcuffed him anyway, people outside the store whispered. Some shook their heads. Others pulled out their phones. Daniel felt the familiar burn of shame. Not because he was guilty, but because he knew how this looked. As Rachel guided him toward the patrol car, she noticed the tattoo on his forearm. It wasn't flashy or aggressive. It was worn and faded, clearly old. 2 small names, written in careful script, Lily and Emma. Below the names were the words, My reason to live. Rachel froze. Emma was the name of her younger sister, who had died 5 years earlier after a drunk driver hit her car. Emma had been a single mom too. Rachel remembered the tattoo Emma's boyfriend had gotten after her death, almost exactly like this one. Rachel's grip loosened. She looked at Daniel again. Really looked this time. The worn boots. The calloused hands. The fear in his eyes, not for himself, but for his daughter. Who's Emma? Rachel asked softly. Daniel swallowed. My wife. She passed away. Cancer. Something inside Rachel shifted. She walked back into the store and asked the cashier to replay the security footage. The video showed Daniel reaching into his pockets, clearly confused, clearly panicked. No theft. No hiding items. No crime. Rachel returned, her face pale. She unlocked the handcuffs. I'm sorry, she said, her voice low. You're free to go. Daniel rubbed his wrists, stunned. Lily ran into his arms, clinging to him like she might lose him forever. Rachel knelt down to Lily's level. I scared you, didn't I? She said gently. Lily nodded. I'm really sorry, Rachel said. Your dad didn't do anything wrong. That night should have ended there. But kindness rarely stops at apologies. Rachel drove them home herself. On the way, Daniel explained how his wallet had slipped under the car seat. He laughed weakly, embarrassed. Rachel listened quietly. When they arrived at their small apartment, Rachel noticed the empty fridge through the open door. She didn't say anything then. The next morning, there was a knock on Daniel's door. When he opened it, Rachel stood there with grocery bags. Milk. Fruit. Fresh bread. Even a small toy for Lily. I'm off duty, she said quickly. This is just human to human. Daniel couldn't speak. Tears filled his eyes. Weeks later, Rachel helped connect Daniel with a local assistance program. Lily started school with new clothes. Daniel was offered overtime hours at work through a community contact. Rachel knew. A single moment of attention. One tattoo. One pause before judgment. That was all it took. Months passed. Life slowly improved. One afternoon, Daniel received a letter from the police department. His heart dropped when he saw the envelope. But inside was something unexpected. A handwritten note from Rachel. Thank you for reminding me why kindness matters. I almost forgot. Daniel framed it, because that night wasn't just about a misunderstanding. It was about how quickly we label people. How easily we forget that behind every face is a story, a struggle, and a heart trying its best. Kindness doesn't always look like grand gestures. Sometimes it looks like stopping. Looking again. Choosing compassion over assumption, and sometimes, it looks like a tattoo that tells a story no one bothered to read, until it changed everything. That if this story moved you, let it remind you of this simple truth: you never know what someone is carrying. So choose kindness. Every time.